One of the things that sets Claude apart from the other generative AI tools like ChatGPT or Gemini or Copilot is Claude's ability to use something called skills. If you're unfamiliar with skills, they're really cool. They're what makes Claude super useful, in my opinion. Skills are kind of like playbooks that you can use for Claude to repeat certain processes that you want. You can think of them almost like structured prompts that you don't have to save elsewhere. You can save them in Claude, and Claude can use them in different conversations and different workflows and things like that. So to get to skills in Claude, you go to your settings menu and go down to capabilities. Scroll down a little ways and you'll see skills down here. You can add skills to Claude. You're not stuck with any skills that Claude comes with. There are also example skills inside Claude as well. I don't think there's any that are really loading right now. Your organization, if you have an organization account on Claude, can also have skills. But you can add a new skill, and that's what we're going to do. We're going to create a new skill because I want Claude to do something specific for me. You can write skill instructions yourself. That's okay. It's a little bit advanced. You can upload a skill file that you find somewhere else that someone has. It's got to be a markdown file or a .skill file. But the easiest way to get skills into Claude and into its brain is to do the create with Claude. What I'm going to do, I'm not going to click that. I'm going to close out and I'm going to go back because I started the process to save you the pain of watching me type out all the stuff that I wanted Claude to do. And when I hit that create with Claude, it preloads a prompt in there, which basically says, let's create a skill together using your skill creator skill. And then I deleted the second sentence and I put in, I want to have you do analysis of expert witness depositions. Claude took that, read its skill for creating skills, and then went in and asked me a bunch of questions, all about the way that I really want Claude to do this. And they're pretty good questions, honestly. So, what should it enable Claude to do? And it gave me 5 possibilities there. And for that one, I just said, hey, that sounds great. Who's the primary user? It knows that I'm a consultant and I work with law firms. So it's approaching it from that angle, which doesn't make a ton of sense. And I just said, I really want you to be more as a lawyer analyzing them. For number 3, what output format? Should it do a structured IRAC memo? Because I have the IRAC skill in there, a Word doc. I said, give me a Word doc, use tables and outlines because I like that format. Not wordy. Include line and page numbers because I really like to be able to look at the deposition and figure out where did that actual excerpt come from. Just in case, it has to be used or cited somewhere. And then for number 4, any specific frameworks, it wants to use Daubert or Rule 702 compliance. I just really want the high points. I don't want Claude to go into all of that. I just want to know, what the conclusions and the basis for those conclusions are. And then number 5, it asked me, should it cross-reference things with other documents like the experts reports, opposing expert reports, published papers. I don't really care about that right now. I just want the testimony. So I'm going to hit go on this, and Claude is going to chew on it for a little bit. In the meantime, just so we're clear on what skills are really just like policies and procedures. I think that's a good way to think about it. Think of it as giving Claude a long document or, a manifest, whatever you want to call it, a list of instructions on how it should do specific tasks. What steps should it take? What consideration should it have? Should it reference anything outside of, the instructions? Should it use a specific template when writing a letter? When you ask it, hey, help me, clarify this thing, what should it consider? Things like that. There's a ton that you can do with skills. It's very, very malleable, very, very flexible, and it's a great framework for getting Claude sort of tuned in to how it can help you really work well. If you use Claude and you haven't played around with skills, please explore it. It's going to be game changing, I think, if you can use it well and you can figure out how can you employ skills. So this is intended to be more of an example of how to use skills to really do the things that you need Claude to do. So now Claude is actually writing out the skill file, and every time there's a skill created, it lives in a file called skill.markdown, and there's one skill file for each skill. So when you look in Claude and you see the different skills listed out, that's how Claude is doing things. It's just creating like a big set of instructions. And once it's done, it's going to show its work, and we're going to be able to use our skill, which will be pretty fun. Let's see what happens. So Claude's done writing the skill. It gives us a description here, which is good. And you'll see it always has this phrase about trigger words. So these are, whenever you say, hey, Claude, I want you to analyze this expert witness transcript, or do a deposition summary for me, or I want you to run expert analysis, then Claude should go and find this skill, right? So if you say, Claude, write a letter for me about an upcoming deposition to the client, it's probably not going to go find this skill. That's what it's not supposed to do. It's supposed to go and find the skill when it needs to and when it's supposed to use it. It also says that it's going to focus on the testimony and produce a concise table-driven Word document with page and line references throughout. And it's going to go through and, create this workflow. It's going to analyze the testimony. I won't bore you with all this, but if you're really interested, you can go in and take a look. It's going to create a structured document, and it gives itself this kind of structure here that it can use, strengths, weaknesses, all of that. Page and line references, that's great. It's going to save it as a docx file. So if it has OCR errors, yada, yada, yada. If it includes video time codes, I didn't think about that, but I guess that's great. I don't have any video depositions. So once Claude is done, I am able to, I can choose to download it. I can copy it to my skills. So let's go ahead and copy it to our skills, and Claude should then have access to it. So we'll say copy to your skills, then I can go and manage it, and it'll bring me right to it. There it is. And if I like it, I can leave it. I can go in and I can edit it with Claude, and I can turn it on and off too. So if I have two different skills that are very similar and Claude is triggering one and not the other, I can go in and, toggle one on, toggle one off, whatever I want to do. That being done, let's go back to chat, and let's do a new chat. And I have an expert witness deposition here that I'm going to be using to have Claude go through it. This is an expert witness deposition from a mock trial packet. If you did mock trial in law school, that'll sound familiar. So we're not using any confidential information here. And I'm just going to tell Claude, I need you to do an expert witness depo analysis of this, and give the file. All right, there's our PDF, and we're going to use, we'll use Sonnet 4.5. I don't want to burn through the tokens. Opus is great, but it burns through tokens really fast right now. So your mileage may vary. Again, I'm using the middle of the road model for this. If you're unfamiliar with the way the different models work, play around with those as well. And you'll see kind of how they perform on different tasks. So you'll see here, Claude is saying that it looked at the skill file, which is kind of cool. So Claude is actually using the skill file that we just created to go in and do this. So now it's doing a comprehensive expert witness deposition analysis for Dr. Billy Cash. Let me start by creating the JavaScript code, blah, blah, blah. I may cut this out, who knows? But in essence, Claude is running an analysis of this expert witness deposition. It's using the skill file that we created. And so I didn't have to tell Claude, read this expert witness deposition, look for these key things. Your output should be in the format of a Word document. I didn't have to do any of that, which is great. I really, really like that. Really, really saves time in terms of getting things to be consistent, getting things to be kind of uniform, and getting Claude to do really what I want it to do. Okay, so Claude has finished. That took a little while, and essentially it went through, it created the Word document, which we're going to open together. How exciting. And gives me a rundown of what it found, what the vulnerabilities are for this expert witness deposition. So let's open it up in Word, which, this is pretty good. So expert overview, it's a nice table, compensation, summary of qualifications, which is great, scope of engagement. Yeah, this is really good. So here's the expert's opinions, and then references. So one opinion is the defendant caused the subsidence of a land bridge. This mock trial case has to do with groundwater pumping and liability for causing collapse on a neighboring property by pumping out groundwater. So let's see if this holds up, right? So this says page 5, lines 82 and 83 is one of the references, and then 14, 283 through 305. So let's take a look at page 5. All right, so 82 and 83. So the doctor says, yes, it's my opinion that the defendant caused the subsidence of the land bridge and was the cause of the spring flow cessation as well. Great. Okay, so that checks out. And then page 14, 283 to 305. 283, what proof do you have of that? Okay, so it backs up just a little bit. The subsidy, I can't say this word, whatever that word is, of the land bridge and cessation of spring flow were not results of natural event. They were man-made, caused by curmudgeon formed sudden massive withdrawals of water from the aquifer. What proof do you have of that? And then it goes into the opinion. So that checks out, right? That's really good. So opinion, basis, and then reference. That's really nice. Again, I may want to go through and just like give the eyeball check to a lot of these, but the first one held up. I really like that. What was the methodology? Key concessions and admissions from the deposition. This is their third time testifying at trial. Limited trial testimony experience. Looks good. Yeah, so a lot of good stuff there. If I'm cross-examining, potential vulnerabilities, limited experience, defense side bias. Everybody loves a biased expert witness, geographic outlier. Yeah, so reliance on hearsay. Honestly, this is really, really good. Suggested cross-examination topics. So that's kind of nice. I really like that. Yeah, this is great. So end of analysis, honestly, if I added something to this, I would say, what should I move to exclude? Because, it's easier to handle stuff sometimes in front of the judge pre-trial than, in a, objection or a cross-examination, because once the jury's heard it, you can't make them unhear it. So that's something I can do myself as well. This is just an example of how Claude uses skills to do really nice work product. So this should be, replicable. Every time I use a deposition in here that's of an expert and I ask it, hey, can you please do an expert witness deposition analysis? It should follow this playbook and create me a report that looks a lot like this with the same sections, same types of frameworks for analysis, things like that. Obviously, it's not going to be the same, but it's going to involve these same things. And if I want to change it, then I can also go in and change it, which is really, really nice. So just keep that in mind. Skills are really, really, really useful for using Claude effectively. So yeah.